Hello, people of YouTube land. Yes, I know I look like shit, but hey, this is an adaptation of an F. Scott Fitzgerald story. So, with me being drunk and Ted being drinking, keep that in. With me still being drunk the previous night and Ted still drinking, I don't think F. Scott Fitzgerald would have it any other way, especially since he wrote The Great Gatsby. But hello, people of YouTube land. Hello to the people that are part of Ted's Discord. Hello to the people that follow Ted and I on Twitch, and hello to the people listening to this on Spotify or wherever medium that we decide to put this on. This is the movie review podcast, and I'm Introductus.
And I'm Ted.
And this is a podcast where we take a director's filmography, review each movie, and then Ted goes over the plot after I go over the background info, and then we talk about how we like it, what we like and dislike about the movie, and we rank them, and that's about it.
All right, here we go.
And we're going through the films of David Fincher, and we are here with a weird one. Not as weird after watching Zodiac, which is a little bit like different from what we're normally with Fincher, but this one's like a complete departure for what we see with Fincher, and that is The Curious Case of Benjamin Button. All right. The Curious Case of Benjamin Button was released December 25th. Oh shit, Christmas Day. 2008, and had a budget of $150 to $167 million and had a box office return of $335.8 million. Now, as I said, this is a S. Scott Fitzgerald adaptation. This is an adaptation of his 1922 short story, The Curious Case of Benjamin Button, which I have not read the short story, but like I looked it up a little bit, and there's quite a few differences, especially like time period, because obviously S. Scott Fitzgerald wasn't alive during fucking Katrina. So there's a little bit of like a time shift on that one, but this is based off his 1922 short story, which I think was in the compilation Tales of the Jazz Age, but don't quote me on that. I might have that wrong. But anyway, development, producer Ray Stark bought the rights to do the movie in the mid 80s and optioned, and it was optioned by Universal Pictures. Yeah, this movie's been in development since the fucking 80s.
That's crazy, dude.
Guess who was selected to direct originally?
Couldn't tell you.
Frank Oz. Interesting. And for those who don't know who Frank Oz is, he's the guy that plays Yoda. And he also did like a bunch of puppet work with Jim Henson and stuff. And when the person that was going to be the role was Martin Short, which honestly, I think Martin Short could like do a good job in that role.
I agree. Yeah, Martin Short would have been good.
Yeah. But anyway, Oz did not know how to like make the story, and in 1991, the people that were attached to it were Steven Spielberg with Tom Cruise.
Okay.
I can see Spielberg doing this, but I don't know how the hell Tom Cruise was gonna.
There are worse people you could have picked.
Right. And Steven Spielberg left the project due to directing Jurassic Park and then later Schindler's List. Other directors attached were Patrick Reed Johnson, Agnieszka Holland. Stark ended up selling the rights to Stark ended up selling the rights to producers Kathleen Kennedy and Frank Marshall, who took the film to Paramount Pictures. And then Ron Howard was was a potential director with John Travolta as like the main actor, and then it ended up going to Spike Jonze. If you don't, or at least I pronounced that right.
Spike Jones.
Yes. Okay. Yeah. The BMX guy, the guy that directed Three Kings, and if I remember right, didn't he direct like the Jackass? Oh no, he directed Being John Malkovich. He didn't direct any of the uh Jackass movies, but he did like, if I remember, he's like associated with like that project.
I don't know, for whatever reason, as you say it feels like it makes sense, but I don't retain it. I can't recall.
Oh, he directed the TV series. He just didn't direct the movies. Okay,
got it.
but anyway, in 2004, David Fincher ended up getting involved after like originally director Gary Ross was going to be the director. Fincher ended up taking the job because he actually liked the story. He was interested in like how it was like revolved around like the character, like it's a very character based story, and also how it deals with time. And afterwards we have the casting, Brad Pitt as Benjamin Button. He gets cast, and then same with Kate Blanchett as, hold on, as Daisy Fuller, his love interest. There's different people that play each person like during their years. Like Robert Towers plays Benjamin Button as like an old man. We also have like Tom Everett as another version of Benjamin Button, Spencer Daniels, Chandler Canterbury. For Kate Blanchett's character, we also have like Madison Beatty and Elle Fanning. Dakota Fanning's like, I think little sister.
I know they're siblings. That's all I got.
Well, and there's actually quite a few, well-known actors and actresses in this. We also have like, is it Taraji Taraji P. Henson?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, all right. I also have, she plays Queenie, which is basically, Benjamin Button's, stepmother in this. We have Julia Ormond as Caroline Button, who is his, Brad Pitt's daughter, which you don't know until like halfway through the film. Spoiler. We also have Tilda Swinton as like another like love interest. Gosh. Jason Fleming as Benjamin Button's dad. Jared Francis Harris is like Captain Mike Clark. Masher Shala Ali as Tizzy Weathers. And there's a couple other people that you don't really like notice the name, but like when you see them, you're just like, oh, hey, it's that person.
There's a handful.
Yeah. That being said, there are differences between the short story and this. Number one, the short story is set in Baltimore, and like modern day is basically for them is like in the 1920s, so it's set in the 1800s. Modern day in this movie is set in like Hurricane Katrina.
I was gonna say it's definitely set in 2004.
Yeah, and set in Louisiana due to like they wanted to take advantage of like the state's production incentives, and oddly enough, like it was actually really easy to shoot, and Fincher actually praised the ease of accessibility to rural and urban sets in New Orleans, despite, you know, the recovery from Katrina. Like, it didn't like have like a hindrance to production whatsoever. And that's basically what I got for background info. So if you want to give the plot.
Sure. So the plot is told through the perspective of is it Daisy? No, it's Daisy. Anyway, it's told through Daisy on her deathbed as you know, remembrance of Benjamin Button through his memoirs. Benjamin Button was then a man who he lived his life in reverse. He started at old age and died a child. So it's just kind of like taking you through his memoirs, through her recollection of things and their interaction together, to watch his life progress, I guess. That's the best way to put it. To get to likes and dislikes then, Stallman, I think we start with likes. I think my dislikes are probably stronger and more thought out, so let's get the easy stuff out of the way. I think for me, the first and most obvious place to start is that the makeup and the effects were really good, especially for this being 2008.
Oh my god. Like, especially with like the CG, because like when you have good CG is when the CG blends well with the practical effects.
Yeah, the other actors that played Benjamin Button up until his childhood, right? Like, it was just kind of a CG version of Brad Pitt's face blended onto somebody else who was playing as the actor. And there were times that, like, even for 2008, you genuinely had to question the idea of are we sure this is CG, or did they just kind of like, you know, really do well with the makeup. I think that the ability to make characters look the way that they needed to, the consistency of characters at all of these different ages, 80 something years of time, I think was really good.
Yeah. Some parts from the makeup, I'm just like, that looks like Tim Robbins as opposed to Brad Pitt.
Yeah. But yeah, like for the most part, I think everything, like you said, Stallman, blended well. Looked good together. I think the cinematography was pretty terrific. I think all for terms of a character-driven story, I think that the camera work was good, the lighting was good, the scenery made sense. Like, as Fincher gives credit somewhat to the ease of shooting, I think that it's kind of reflective in the movie that, like, all of these different sets, all of these different locations, like, look the way that they're supposed to within that setting, and nothing seems like they tried too hard.
Yeah, I 100% agree, especially like the certain scenes, especially like the scenes where Benjamin Button is on like the boat, working with like the tugboat, and with like the World War II scenes, because there's like certain like camera work and lighting for like the sunset and everything over the ocean. Those are really, really beautiful. And then also the scene at the end with like the clock being flooded from Katrina. Like, that ending shot is one of the most beautiful freaking shots that I've ever seen since we've done this podcast.
Well, and I think too that, like, even in the more simple things, right? Like the older Victorian home that was the old folks' home that he grew up in, right? It looked simple. It didn't look run down, but it definitely looked aged, right? And without a whole lot of effort, they just kind of shot the house as it was, and it fit, right? The scenes on the boat were kind of tight and cramped, but it also wasn't like an immaculate, spotless designed set. They just kind of put a camera on a boat and said, let's go for it, right? Like, the ease of access to all of these different scenes was not only like fitting to the story that was being told through a historic lens, but also the ease and comfort of, we don't have to design a set, we don't have to change lighting, we just do the thing where it's at.
Right. And to be honest, the thing I also really like about, especially going with like the CG, because like I haven't seen really like CG kind of like blend this well with practical effects. The only other movies I can think of that really do that is like Dark City to an extent, but even then sometimes the CG's aged in that. But the other one is Mad Max Fury Road.
Mm-hmm.
Now this is like I can think of like right offhand. Like, I've probably seen it before, but just haven't noticed it. But like something where I know is obviously CG, but like blends so well. I haven't seen it like this good since like Fury Road.
Yeah, it like you said, it blends well beyond everything else. Even when you can look at it and you go looking for it and you can tell that it's CG, it's still like It doesn't be like, okay, this is jarring, this is terrible. It's not like some of the scenes we watched in Spider-Man for the last series that were like, okay, that might have been over the top, right? Like, I think everything just kind of
like Alien 3.
yeah, everything here just fit together in a really good way. Yeah, go ahead.
Sorry.
No, go ahead.
A thing for me that I really like is, for those that are familiar with F. Scott Fitzgerald's like writing style with like The Great Gatsby, this, I have to say, like, with this being an adaptation of an F. Scott Fitzgerald story, it definitely has kind of his writing style in it.
Yeah, I was going to say, I give props to Fincher here. We were discussing before we hit the record button that this didn't quite feel like a Fincher film. But the longer I'm sitting here thinking about it, like, it kind of does make sense, right? The best stories that he's got are all about the characters, right? Regardless of what happens in the film, that they're about characters. And I think that Fincher did a good job at keeping the writing alive, right? And definitely bringing out F. Scott Fitzgerald's voice while also doing something that's like, not stereotypically Fincher, while still keeping Fincher elements of the importance of characters in this film.
Speaking of characters, like, I like a lot of like the characters in this movie. Like, a lot of them are even if like they're unlikable, like they're likable at the beginning, and then they become unlikable just because of like, you know, dumb drama bullshit. You still kind of like feel for like, you know, the characters, like you're attached to them. And even some people have like somewhat bit parts, which my favorite character of the entire movie is this guy that got struck by lightning, what, like 19 fucking times?
7 times.
7 times. Yeah, 7 times. This old dude, who, by the way, you're introduced to him while he's smoking in bed. And for whatever fucking reason, throughout the years, he's still alive. He's alive. An old...
And every time you fucking see him, it's, did you know I've been struck by lightning 7 times? It's so good.
And it's like, oh my god. It's like, how is this man still alive? I was literally expecting him to, like, die by getting struck by lightning an 8th time. Like... But he doesn't. But there's no on-screen death, so I assume he's alive till the end of the movie. I don't give a shit. I don't give a shit. That old son of a bitch is alive.
Yeah, no,
at the end of the movie.
I agree. Even the small bit parts are still good, but even the bigger parts, right? Like, you get introduced to Benjamin's dad right at the beginning as he's dropping the kid off at the old folks home, right? But even then, like, as he comes back and he returns, and you watch him age and try to like care about his son, right? Even if you think that there is some like inherent like not goodness to the idea of, well, my wife died during childbirth, so fuck this kid, let's put him on a step outside an old folks home. Like, he still comes back and still wants to care about his kid, right?
Right.
I think watching Daisy evolve, I think Benjamin Button's character is I don't want to say complex, but definitely like fitting to the role that is, right. I think Captain Mike absolutely fits the alcoholic boat captain who still wants to do good,
Captain
right?
Mike's great.
Yeah, like I think even the bigger parts are still well done and reflected in a way that makes you care about the characters.
Yeah, like the characters of Queenie and Twizzy that you know raise Benjamin Button are both great performances by both great actors. Also, like, they definitely have that Cajun Louisiana accent down.
Everyone except like Brad Pitt, who just sounds like he's slurring his words a little.
Yeah. But I mean, it's
yeah. Otherwise, yeah. No, I'd say that the accents are good too. The whole thing is pretty terrific, acting wise. You got any other likes before we?
I like this, which I think this might have to do with a little bit from F. Scott Fitzgerald, but like the humor in this, because there's aspects of humor that are like that are executed really good, especially also the concept that he gets dropped off at an old folks home.
Yeah, not an orphanage, but an old folks home.
Right. It's an old baby.
Yeah,
he's going to an old folks home. And it's just like, there's certain like gags that are like that throughout this movie that really work. And it's also somewhat kind of like, I don't know, like there's certain subtleties in this that I can kind of compare it to Titanic a little.
No, you're welcome to dislikes. Yes.
Yeah, but at the same time, I wonder if it's also like a subtle dig at Titanic, you know? Because some things seem to be kind of like a dig at Titanic, like, hey, here's this shit.
Man, I don't even know about that though, right? Like,
right.
The idea that it follows that Titanic path as closely as it does is more frustrating. Even if it's intended to be a dig, I think that it's too close to like get the value out of it. Like, you know, Family Guy spoofs Star Wars. It's not an homage to Star Wars. It's let's make fun of this shitty fucking story, right? And like because you keep it so close, you can do that. And when it's not that overt, it just feels like, oh, we didn't know how to write another movie, so we just put different characters in the Titanic. Haha, eat shit. You know, the idea that the story is being told by the old woman who is not the protagonist and she's holding on to a thing that doesn't quite belong to her, and also, you know, she's on her deathbed and it's her story, not his story, even though the story's about him. The idea that the thing ends in tragedy, much the way that, like, you know, the Titanic sinks, this one is Hurricane Katrina, right? Like, there are just so many places that, like, it is the Titanic and they wrote the same story, which sucks. If we're going to compound that, right, it also sucks because if this is based off the short story came before Titanic, and we didn't find an excuse to write it for 20-something years in development until the Titanic came out, and they're like, guys, I know how we're going to do this one, and it feels really like shit.
Yeah, and for what I saw on that, I think like, as opposed to like coming from like Daisy's perspective, I think it comes from Benjamin's perspective.
The
short story,
right? The movie elements, like it definitely comes from Benjamin's perspective. Like he narrates the whole thing because it's out of his memoirs. But the idea that like the reason to read his memoirs instead of just telling the story is to have an old woman reading from his memoirs, like fuck right off, dude.
Yeah. Yeah, I didn't really care for that. We were actually making fun of like the comparisons of Titanic. It's like the only thing that's like, it's like at the last minute, it's like, hey, I have this expensive thing that everybody's looking for, and I'm just gonna throw it off the fucking.
Yeah.
God, I hate that part of Titanic. You know, you literally waste an entire excavating team's time for your bullshit fucking story just to be like, oh, here's the thing that you're looking for. Gone. But luckily we don't have that here.
I think another big dislike for me. This movie drags so hard.
Oh, that is the biggest freaking problem with this movie is the fact that it drags. Like the first half of the movie, you're like, all right, this is great. But like after the World War II part, it drags.
Man, the problem for me is not only does this take 3 hours to get through, where you're seeing every second of his life as it happens, right? I don't know that there are pieces that I would say definitely omit this or definitely keep this or whatever, right? But I feel like you can get the sweetness and the touchingness of the story without showing us he woke up in the morning to pee like every other day and showing that every day for 84 years, right? Like, and I think that because it takes so long and by the end you're just praying that it ends very soon, that it kind of takes away from some of those sweet, like heartfelt, touching moments, right? I think that like there are so many places that it's just like at the end, as you watch him become a kid again and losing track of his memories because he's a child, right? Much as though somebody in old age would lose those memories, right? Whatever. Like you lose it because it's like, dude, I don't need to see him relearning the piano that he's known how to play for 80 years. Like you can just say that he died here, right? I don't need to see every moment of his childhood. Even if you cut that 10 minutes down to 2 minutes to show that, you know, Daisy is back as an old woman taking care of this very young child, right? You could do that in such less time, and the sweet and heartwarming elements of this get kind of ruined by it takes so fucking long to get anywhere.
Yeah, like the second half of the movie honestly kind of seems like a fucking Sam Raimi movie with how like because like there's parts of like Sam Raimi movies where they drag because he's like putting too much detail in things that could be like, you know, done in a short amount of time.
Yeah.
And yeah, like
I also think
on top of that, it also makes like certain things of like during the heartfelt moments of like the second half of the movie, some of them feel like rushed, as in like, oh shit, this needs to be like at a certain time. You know, this needs to. It's like this is already going too long, so you end up like shoving through like different things that are just kind of like shoved in your face. If that makes sense.
It kind of, yeah. I don't know. I feel like it's detailed in weird places in those instances, right?
Right.
Like the one point that sticks out to me, right, is that after they have their kid, right? Benjamin says, "I can't be a child. You can't take care of both of us, whatever," right? Like, then they show his tours through India and through Europe and through
Right.
and in a place where like, hey, the touching moment, the important, significant event of the story where he has to abandon his kid and his love of his life because he's afraid of, you know, continuing to regress. That, like, okay, you could have put more impact into that conversation instead of showing me Brad Pitt in an Indian village, right? Like, I
We didn't need to see Brad Pitt at the Taj Mahal.
Yeah, right, like that there are you know, yes, cut that, but also you could add more time there by putting impact into the impactful conversation, right? And I just think that the use of time was not good because the movie takes 3 hours. That I feel like, you know, you lose some of the important pieces, the impact of the story.
Yeah, and on top of that, it just ruins the freaking pacing.
Yeah. Yeah. I will also say another dislike is I think that there are too many oddities with the nature of it, right? In a short story, right, you can kind of ignore some of the impacts of him reversing in age, right?
Yes.
I think the movie did a very good job with this at the very beginning, where it was just, you know, he's got some sort of weird disease. He's not going to live a really long time because it's, you know, early 1900s, right? That like,
Yeah.
Well, we haven't seen this disease before, but it doesn't mean it exists. It's not a world full of modern medicine, right? And I think that they do a good job at like explaining the early parts of his life. But like, yeah, this house full of retired people who weren't quite related to him or didn't quite know him because it's been 60 years since he's been here, watches a child with a familiar name show up, and they're like, yeah, we'll take care of this kid who's getting younger, and no one sees anything fucking weird with that. The idea that Daisy just bonds to this fucking short little 85-year-old man who's aging in reverse, and they're hiding, playing with flashlights and telling each other secrets under the table, like, nah, dude, that's fucking creepy. And beyond all of that, beyond anything else, is the idea that like no one who knows him for an extended period of time seems to recognize that he's getting younger. The only time they ever bring it up is Mike says, well, I drink a lot, but it seems like you get younger every day. And he's like, well, you do drink a lot. Like even Mike doesn't notice working with him for 20 fucking years that he used to be an old man with a cane. And now he's like, you know, middle-aged. Like, right. It's so stupid, the idea that he's like, yeah, I've got this weird condition, I age in reverse, would solve so many of his interpersonal problems, that he just decides to never fucking say it. It doesn't goddamn matter. And it just
especially
like
especially in the 60s where there was actual medicine.
Yeah. And it's the idea is that like as it, you know, as a short story, I think that you can overcome some of those things. And the idea of film where you can fit,
especially when the short story is set in like the 1800s.
Yeah. And but even the idea that like, again, when you can see it, when you're watching 3 hours of this movie and it's so visible, right? That like, it's really hard to adapt that into film. I think as well as they did this, I think it's still an ambitious enough project, and having to tell the story and showing all of those oddities just makes it really hard to put aside the disbelief.
Right.
I think that hurts.
Yeah. Also, like there's time to comment on some of the pacing, and also with the oddities and stuff like that. There's a few times where it almost seems like it's gonna bury Katrina. It's like, oh, by the way, Katrina's happening.
Yeah.
Like,
there's one where the nurse walks in, she's like, yep, Storm's gonna miss us, and that's just like, oh well, I guess the Storm's not here anymore, and now we're just watching an old woman die under false pretenses. Like,
yeah, and then Katrina happens anyway, and it's like, well, okay, at least they didn't bury Katrina like Tommy Wiseau buries breast cancer.
Fair. There's so many like weird singular pieces of this that just don't fit into film, and I think that they stand out pretty hard because you are looking directly at it. It's really hard to put some of those things to the side, to be honest.
I honestly don't have anything else to really add because like you basically said everything that I kind of wanted to say. Like to me, the big issue is the pacing and the fact that it just drags in the second half.
Yeah, an expedited cut of this movie I think would be significantly better. I'm with you. I think that solves a whole lot of the issues that I have, is just making this more approachable and not 3 hours of your day. But yeah, I think that's what I've got. So let's get into rankings. What are you doing with this one?
I'm gonna put it above Zodiac.
Okay.
Like, it's a movie that, like, I wouldn't rewatch, if that makes sense. You know, like, I'm glad that I saw it, but like, it's not something I go out of my way to watch again, especially with it being a 3 hour. There's more movies that are this long that I'd rather watch than this.
Even going back and watching Titanic, I think, had more entertainment value. I'm with you.
Well, yeah, like Titanic, Once Upon a Time in America, I think is around like 3 hours. Like I'd rather watch that. Fuck, even like Lord of the Rings.
Yeah, I need something out of the 3 hours that you spend on this. For me, I'm putting this one last behind Zodiac. And
that's fair. That's fair.
I don't think this is a bad movie. I think that it is a difficult watch, both for subject material, the inconsistencies, and the fact that it's 3 hours and drags like hell. There are movies that I would tell you that like I won't rewatch, but if they show up on TV, it's like, yeah, okay, well, I guess I can sit through the second half of this movie. And I think even to pick this one up on TV, it's just like, nope, I've seen it once, I know what happens. It's again, it's a touching, heartfelt story. I don't want to say that this is bad. This isn't putting it at the bottom of the list the same way that I put It's Murder on the bottom of the Raimi list, right? Like it's not it's not bad. It's just that, like, to spend 3 hours on it is the maximum amount of time that anyone should spend on this movie. It's sweet. It's touching. It's well done. It, like, the symbolism and the cinematography and the characters, they're all great, but I just, for value of being a movie, I think I've gotten my worth out of it. So it's really hard to put it above even Zodiac, where, again, it shows up on TV and, yeah, I might pick it up at the halfway point, whatever.
Yeah, this is certainly no Moonraker.
Yeah. Goddamn, dude. Goddamn. But yeah,
sorry, I had to.
It's okay. Which
honestly has more entertainment value than this movie.
Hard to argue. Honestly, hard to argue. For
different reasons, obviously, but
yeah. So, Salman, what do we get next week?
The Social Network, I believe.
Social Network. Okay. I'm looking forward to that one. I still have yet to see that one the whole way through. So, anyway, as always, thank you guys for watching, for hanging out with us, for listening to us ramble about the Titanic 2 Electric Boogaloo. If you're interested,
I want to actually make sure it's the Social Network. I do believe it is, but like, I don't want. Yeah, it's the Social Network. Okay.
Sweet. We get to make.
I was sure if it was that or Girl with the Dragon Tattoo. I wasn't sure which one was.
We get to make fun of Zuckerberg next week, dude. I'm so hyped. Anyway, thank you guys as always for watching. If you're interested in more of this content, we've got plenty of other movie reviews that we've done on this podcast. You can check them through this playlist. There's also plenty of other content on the YouTube channel for gaming content. So be sure to check all of that out. If you're interested in our individual content, you can check us both out on Twitch. Stallman at Traductus, myself at Ted Green Eagles. As always, thanks for watching, and we'll see you here next week.
See ya.